I found out where my mic is, so let's see if it works. It takes time for me to see it once I replay it. Um, I mean, I it worked one time, and I'm not sure what I did, but I I said real tech, or I checked real tech, and it wasn't working. So let's see what happens. Where are we at? Nine seconds. Okay. So I'm just testing my mic. So let's see. It's gonna take about a minute for it to upload. Um, to see what happens. Whoever is putting the smiley face, can you please let me know in the chat? Is my mic working or not? Just let me know. Uh, put a one for yes, or put a one for two, or I'm sorry, put a two for no. So you're smiling or laughing? I'm not sure. Just let me know because I'm. It's starting to get frustrating. I know it's my computer. Okay, I see two viewers. Can anyone that are viewing hear me? That's all I want to know. I went on for 37 minutes about you know about different things, and that's all I want to know. So just say, just do one for whatever you want to do. I say one for yes, that my audio is okay. All right. Um. Okay. Nobody's commenting. I see a lot of emojis coming out. Okay. There's three people watching now. Okay. Whew. Okay. I think it's working now. Thank you for the like, by the way. So I it sounds like it's working now. So I had a. It took me a long time to figure it out. I had to reboot my computer like many times, but it sounds like it's working. So I got a like, so that's good. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the likes. All right. So when went on for the description was just for a test, right? Because I've been trying forever, or not forever, but like for the last hour or so, or however long it was, to actually to speak about this, because it was about my description was people, right? So and I know that's vague, that's like, like there's different people, and that's why I said people, because I did not mention a specific person, race, culture, or ethnicity, or uh what they believe in or whatever. um my the thing for me was like people. Okay, so the description I had, I went on for like about, I saw the stream, it went on for like 37 minutes, but nobody could hear me. So I was like, okay, well, it wasn't for a waste, because I did post a link that I want everyone to and I'll find it again. um Thomas, hold on. It's Thomas Space Station, but I'll get to that later. Uh, so the thing is, people, right? And I'm talking about my own experience. So, and everyone, and the way I say it is my own experience, because everyone else has their own experience, right? So, you know, uh, like for me, I guess, I'll just start all over again. But I don't have anything written. I'm just going off from my own experience. So I'll start with my own life, right? And I'm not going to go through my own life forever, but uh like I grew up in a small town, and I've always sort of lived in the same small area, but not in the same small town. And so I only knew the group of people that I was surrounded with, right? So and uh like when I grew up in this small town and everything, I only grew up with mostly white people, white Americans, right? And there was black people, there was Mexicans, there was Asians, but it was mostly white, right? And I'm not trying to be racist or anything like that. I'm just saying this is my experience. So the great thing for me is like when I went to college, then I was culture shocked about a lot of different things because I was from a small town, right? And I met like African Americans, I met um Asian people, and Mexican people, and or Mexican Americans, so to speak, and um Indian people, that spoke really good English. Um, I can't speak like their language, right? But it was cool though because then that culture shock finally set in, and I was like, "Damn, man, this is crazy." So I finally learned over time that hey, like even though I grew up in this small town, there's like so many other different people out there, and um like my experience has been that, I've learned from other people from different races, different ethnicities, different people. And that's why I say people, because it's like it's not about it's just people, we're all people, right? So and that's the way people should be treated. It's just we're a person. We're just here uh uh to live, or we were born through our parents and everything, or through whoever, uh, and we're just experiencing this experience in life, uh and the great thing for me in my experience was that it changed my life, a lot of it, most of it changed my life. And one of the professors told me, he said, he said, if you leave this college without when you graduate and you don't change, then something's wrong with you. And I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. Because it did change me, and I remember that. I'll remember that forever because those words were important because it still stays with me. So whenever I meet somebody, or talk to somebody, physically talk to somebody, like verbally talk to somebody in person, like I can see their eyes and everything, and their face and everything and what they're saying. I, s- it's not about me. It's about, hey, I want to, it's like they want to talk about themselves, and it's cool because everyone wants to be heard at some point, right? At least that's the way I think about it. So, the other thing I wanted to say was that you can once you meet somebody and talk to them, I know, not right away, Not right away, but at some point, I know if they're like trying to be good or they have other intentions, right? Like there's good, bad, middle, or somewhere in between there. And if they try to be good, that's great, man. Not good, it's great. Like me, hey, I'm not perfect. I made many mistakes in my life. Okay. I'm 51 years old. Okay. I just turned 51 recently. So, um, it sounds like my mic is working okay. So I'm going to keep going. Um, yeah, I see my mic going on. So I see the volume on there. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I did some changes. Thank you for the yeah, thank you for the smile there. Uh so um okay, I'll tell you another real story. I ordered no, I'm sorry. I took an Uber, right? And you know, I normally don't really want to talk to the Uber driver, but they actually try to engage with me and I'm like, all right, let's see what they want to talk about because I already have my seatbelt. I mean, it's not about my seatbelt, but I want to engage with I they want to engage with me and I'm like, okay, all right, let's do it. And they start talking about their own life and their own experience or like when we engage in a conversation, then I'm like that then I they learn about me and I learn about them and I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So I think, you know, like when you're an Uber driver or a taxi driver, or whatever you want to call it, uh, you know, you can learn about somebody just by asking them one question, you know, and then it becomes a conversation like that Uber driver. I don't remember what the conversation was about, how it started, but he asked me something and I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I know." But it was about history, right? And it was about how different countries, you know, like conquered different or like Spaniards, so to speak, conquered different countries, and then and it was about Europe, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, I know, I know. I mean, I speak Spanish, right?" And I mean, I was born here in America, but my parents are from Mexico. So they were he was we were talking about that and then he was like, "Oh yeah, the Spaniards conquered, I'm not a history buff, but it was cool that he did that because then we got into the conversation about that. And I was like, "Oh yeah, Italian, French, uh Um, he mentioned other countries that I'm not. I know Philippines have a similar uh, language that Spanish speak with because uh, Spain conquered or whatever you want to call it, conquer. They took over that island, and it was kind of cool to have that conversation. So, but anyway, that's just a real experience that I had. So, anyway, thank you. It sounds like my volume is pretty good. I can see the volume raising, so I think my settings are fine now. Um, so let me continue here. One second. Um, let's see. Hopefully this holds up here. I really hope this doesn't get ruins the live stream. Just hold on. I know this video. If the audio is okay, then it's gonna be posted. I'm not gonna hold on. I'm not gonna mention any medical information because the last live stream I did, that's what happened. And I'm not gonna go there. But I was mentioning something that happened in September. I'll say that that is historical, right? And then I started mentioning all kinds of other things like Freemasonry and and all that. And um, and then I mentioned I'm not gonna say the word, but let's say germs. I mentioned about germ theory, and I can't go in specifics because my video or my account got taken down for like a week. And I was like, okay, well, I just didn't understand it, but then I understood it eventually because I wanted to go live at some point again. And I understood it um because YouTube is censoring people. So you have to like put a disclaimer or something, which that's why I just go live and just speak my mind. So anyway, uh so people, right? That's the subject that I did a 37-minute live that was muted. And people. So the good thing is like like the people that I've met that I okay, let's say it this way. The people that I keep like in contact with, they're good people. When I start hearing things that I don't agree with, or not that I don't agree with, but if they yell too much, then I'm out, man. So I try to stay away from that. Um, you know, and so it's kind of crazy, man. So here, let me see if I can post this. Um, 1 second. I know there's some people that were here but left. So 1 second. There it is. Okay. So okay, let's go back to, or I'm gonna go back to I'm a space station. Now, I'm a space station is now that's why this is a vague. The description is not there. It's just a test, but it sounds like it's working. So uh so I'm a space station. Um, ha- just got the 2,000 subs, 2K subs, right? And um, the link on that where I posted in the chat is about him posting a video that he did on his premiere. And one thing I have to say about him is that you know, first of all, he is a musician. He plays guitar. He's a rapper, and he's a truther, and he can mix all that together in his music. And that link that I sent was for him to he's like showing his music. If you're a truther, or and all that was crazy, man, because that's how gritty he is, man. I subbed to his channel a long time ago, and that's then that combines that to people. So please go in there, click on the link, and then listen to that rap or that his music, and then sub his channel. Um, he's a great guy. So yeah. So anyway, um, let me go back to what I was saying when I on that 37-minute rant that I did. Not rant, but that muted thing that I did. Uh, was that uh okay? So like I've met like different cultures, different ethnicities, and one of the greatest things that I met was or people that are from different countries. For example, like Africa. And I don't, like I don't know history very well, or I do know, I know a lot, but I'm not a lot, but I know some, right? Um, I'm the Africans, or they. Now I'm not talking about African Americans. I'm talking about Africans. You can hear their accent. I could hear their accent, and they are, like I'm like, okay, so where are you from? And they're like, Somalia or Nigeria or wherever. And then I'm like, and then I'm like, like like what I'm like, so what? How do you speak your native language? He's like, I'm French, or I speak French, right? And I'm like, wait a minute, you look like chocolate, dude. I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking, right? Because and I met two of them, at this job that I had, and they both basically they look dark, and they said, "Oh, well, my native language is French," and I was like, "How did that happen?" And then I learned that the French infiltrated uh, Africa, and and they and then people, especially kids, when you're a kid, right, you learn a language that you're taught by people like your parents, or people that are control, like your basically they control like your mind thinking of what language you're going to speak, because kids memorize everything, right? you know and the cool thing about that is that I was like, and then I know a little bit of French, right? So and then I brought somebody that I work with, who's basically he doesn't know any other languages. um and I brought him over and I said, hey, you know what, you want to talk to these guys? Or I'm like, I'm gonna go talk to these guys. And he was like, all right, let's go, because it was like a little bit of time down on the job. And then I basically went up to one of them, and said, so you speak French, right? He's like, and then he's like, yes. So then I asked him the number system, or the numbers, like un, deux, trois, quatre, cinq. Uh, I think six is eight, but I don't know. So sept, six. Uh, so that's about as far as I can remember. I used to know French pretty well, but when he heard that, I was like, cool. I mean, the reaction about that is, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. The reaction about that was pretty cool, because then hopefully he learned something new. Like he's not just working at his job, he learned something about the people that are around him because there are so many different cultures in that job that I had. And I always love listening to people or learning about them, if anything, because I don't know everything. Who knows everything? You know what I'm saying? So that was cool, man. That was a great experience. So, and then there's people with mental disabilities, right? And you learn. I you know, I've talked to people like with that disability, and I kind of can tell what's going on there, but sometimes I don't know. But I'm not. I'm afraid to ask because I don't want to offend them. But if they're willing to say something, then I'll be like, okay, okay, I get it. Like autism, for example, um, um, OCD, and all that. Uh, I mean, all kind depression, but most people don't really talk about depression. They just keep it within themselves. That's why depression starts because uh, they 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 hold it in, right? So yeah, so it's cool. So I mean, it's not cool, but it's cool for me. It's cool because it's good to meet different people, understand them, and see where they're at, where they come from, and what's going on. Uh, so anyway, um, oh yeah, I have another real story. Not a story, it's real thing experience that I had. I ordered food from DoorDash, right? And uh normally DoorDash drivers don't talk to you. They just give you already paid for it through your app, right? And but this person it's a male, and I didn't ask him what his age was, but he's like, I'm 52, and he looked, and I'm like, well, I didn't answer my age, uh, but I'm 51, right? So he looked up at the sky, right, and he saw a plane. Well, he thought it was, he didn't know what it was, but I looked up there, and I was like, no, that's a plane. I don't know what he said. He didn't say what it was. He was wondering what it was, right? I was like, oh, that's just an airplane. And and then he said, okay. So we had a small conversation, right? It was 2 or 3 minutes long, and he said, oh yeah, I see the lights underneath the plane, you know, and those lights are for like when they go back into the airport to signify to the tower that they're coming in, uh and all that. Um and then when he said that, I'm like, I was thinking, what do you I mean, I didn't say that. I didn't say what I was thinking. I was thinking, do you think it's a UFO, like aliens from outer space? And he said he's I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. And I was like, no, it's just a plane. And then he said, well, I'm studying quantum physics. And I'm like, I passed a like I passed classes with an A or excellent. I've never studied mathematical quantum physics. And I'm like, well, then I started my continued the conversation with him, and I said, okay, so how far do you think the moon is? Because people with quantum physics studies or knowings, so to speak, they should know the math about that, right? And he didn't know. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, well, the thing for me was that, like, he was like focused too much on math than his own common sense and his own eye vision. The moon is local, okay? I don't know how far it is. I don't do math like that. I can't, I don't use lasers like other, I don't know what they do, and say, well, this, you know, whatever they do with it, you don't do that. The moon is local, man. People, the moon is local. The sun is local. I asked him, how far is the sun? He didn't know. I said, well, do you know the heliocentric model? Didn't know. And and I told him it, well, according to NASA and the heliocentric model, we are told that it's 93 million miles away. And then I said, well, okay, so then if it's 93 million miles away and the other one, the moon, is 200, I told him it's 244,000 miles away, or whatever the exact number that NASA gives us. Then how does the solar eclipse happen with something that's 93 million miles away? Have an eclipse, a solar eclipse or a lunar, whatever you want to call it, solar eclipse, lunar eclipse. How does that happen? It's impossible. That is, your common sense goes right out the window when you start believing these theories, these mathematical magical theories. I'm gonna call them mathematical because that's all it is. Your eyes are gone now. Your common sense are gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to believe in all that stuff when I was a kid, and then you know, when I was in college. Here, I got the book here. When I went to college and I started meeting all these different people, there was a guy. He wasn't my roommate, but um, I didn't believe in everything he said, but okay. So I'm gonna show you this book here. I think I've showed it before. So it's called Behold a Pale Horse, right? And it's by William William Cooper, or see. Now a lot of people call him Bill, but I know that's his full name. And he worked for the CIA. And here's one of the chapters, chapter 2. And uh, I'm not gonna. I mean, this is a pretty thick book. First time I read it, I thought this was crazy, right? Um, and then I just said, okay, I'll read it again. Um, I read it like 2 or 3 times. I think 3 times. And then as I got older, I started connecting the dots with this. Uh, you know, because I started watching channels like I'm not gonna mention channels that I unsub now. Uh, but I started watching like truther channels or globe denier channels, and then I started like thinking, "Wow, this is crazy, man." And then I was like, "Okay, uh, that's pretty cool, man." So, so yeah, and it's hard. I asked that DoorDash driver, um, what according to the heliocentric model, which he didn't know, and according to NASA, what is the mathematical circumference of this ball Earth that they tell us? He didn't know, and that's a crazy thing. Like people just believe what they see uh, on TV, on the news, and and like the indoctrination system of the school. They believe what the teacher tells them, right? They hold this, or they don't hold it, but they put this globe that spins, right? So what your eyes can see, you believe, and I'm glad I got out of that brainwashing. So that's crazy, man. But I'm finally glad that I'm free, and I'm free from like most lies that have been told by the government. Government, govern your mind, right? So anyway, so that's why in my one of my last live streams, I said people, and I posted a description that it was my experience. So I'm not going to go on here for hours and hours because I can talk about this forever. Uh, so, um, I think a lot of people that sub my channel already know this, but they call it the Big Bang Theory, right? Big Bang Theory. So, Big Bang Theory means that it's just a theory. So that means that there was nothing. Now all of a sudden, it's a infinite universe, planets all over, and Earth was here. Uh, sorry, I'm not gonna buy that. I'm not gonna buy that. So anyway, sorry, I had to let that out because it's still in me. It will always be in me. So anyway, um, yeah, the other thing I mentioned was water, right? I said, "Do you think water can conform to a ball?" He didn't really answer. I was like, "Well, water always finds its level. I mean, what? I mean, there's waves and all that, but water can't conform to a ball. It doesn't conform to a ball, yet a spinning ball, right?" So, um, it's hard to explain this to people. But if somebody brings it up, hey, you know what? I'm gonna say something. I haven't done any true live activism where out in the street posting or talk. I mean, I've talked to people at work about it, and uh, most people are actually open minded. To be honest with you, there's some people that start googling. They're like, "Oh yeah, yeah." And one of the things that happened to me was I was in a cafeteria, and I was talking to this female, and we're just coworkers, nothing like that. It's just coworker. Uh, and um, I'm not gonna mention. We are talking about germ theory. Call it germ theory. And then I had my phone. I have a different phone now, but I had showed her my phone when I was on a live panel with someone, and somebody else from a different two different countries, right? And I showed her that video, and she was like, "Why are they laughing?" And I was like, "Because they think this is stupid," you know. And so and then I and then somebody said, "Oh, well, you must be a flat earther." I'm like, "Well, actually, I am." I don't call myself a flat earther anymore, but I know that the earth is not a ball. And he started Googling, and I was explaining that rivers cannot go uphill or up. They always go down. And that is a great explanation. But he started Googling, and he said, well, the Niles goes down. And I was like, what? I told him, you just Googled that, didn't you? He denied it, but I saw him on his computer, and he did, and I was like, oh my gosh, these people are crazy, man. They're not crazy, they're just brainwashed. So anyway. Oh yeah, he said, well, I tend to trust the scientists over like me or anybody else. And I was like, okay, well, what if I bring a white lab coat in and say I'm a scientist? And I told you like how water works and all that. Uh he stopped right away. So I knew he was lying. He was making See, people make up things. They make up a lot of things just to keep their brainwashing, their indoctrination keep going. It's just it's sad, to be honest with you. So anyway, um, for the three people that came in, thank you. I don't know who you are. There was somebody earlier that came in. I think it was Coco or CCOCO, something like that. That said my volume wasn't working, but now I see my volume is fine. So thank you. I want to thank them, whoever they are. Thank you for coming in. Uh, um, I'll end it. I'll end my stream with this. Um, when you meet somebody face to face and you talk to them, use your common sense. I mean, be yourself, right? And don't attack anybody. Just like be yourself. If you're a kind person, there's nothing. It's just there's nothing wrong with it. But you can sense if they're good, bad, or somewhere in the middle. Uh, and if they're in the middle, then you can tell. If they're bad, you can tell. Well, either one, you can tell something really bad happened to them at some point in their life, and that's fine. I've had a lot of like when I was a kid, I got sick really bad. I almost died. Uh, but thankfully, I you know because of the help that I got through a doctor, um, and I was in Mexico. Uh, so that's fine. I mean, like things happen to people, right? But when you turn it on other people that are bad that happen to you, that you gotta hit that warning sign that says, "Wait, hold on, something's wrong, man." If you meet somebody that's like that, doesn't matter what color, ethnicity, race, religion, run. Don't run. Stay away. Stay away from them. If you meet good people, then good. That's cool, man. They've had, they have either they've had a good life or they have a good positive energy within themselves, and that's the way it should be. Uh, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, um, but I try to keep that composure of staying positive. So, try to be kind to people. I don't fight. I'm not violent. If I fight with words, it's not fighting. It's intelligence. It's logic. It's common sense. It's not fighting. It's just common sense, right? Non-violent. So be kind to each other as much as you can. But everyone, even myself, has a breaking point and say that's enough, especially if it starts getting personal, right? Um, I let's see, that reminds me of personal relationships that I've had. Uh, Girlfriends. By the way, I've never been married. If people don't know, personal relationships. I remember girlfriend. I'll say one, at least one girlfriend, and she was asking me, or I was putting on my clothes. I stayed over at her apartment, and I already was gonna put my clothes on. She said, "I don't like that. I want you to wear this." I'm like, "Why?" Like, because I like this color. I like that. Whatever she said, and I'm like, I told her, I don't tell you what to wear or ask you what to wear. Why are you telling me? And then we got into an argument about that, and I was like, I'm wearing this. I don't care what you say. So, um, and that's a controlling factor in relationships. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. As long as you're not cheating, which I never have in my life, unless you are, see, like I don't believe in marriage, like through the court system, but unless you're married, like in true love, then I guess it's okay. I don't know. I would still wouldn't do it, but be careful, man, because you know. Uh, Here I'm gonna go into this for a little bit. I thought I was gonna end the stream, but I'm gonna go into this a little bit. Now, the reason I've never been married is because of the divorce rate, and I was close to getting married once. Okay, I was like 28 years old. I remember that, and I actually bought her a ring. Uh, my mistake was I was too young and too stupid that she was still married and separate. She was in a separation, you know. Uh, but the reason I won't, and we eventually broke up because we argued too much, and she was still like she had kids and everything, and I think she still was in love with her husband, and so be careful. So the court system, the reason I don't believe in marriage through the court system is because uh okay, if you love someone, that's great. And I'm sorry, if you both love each other, that's great. That means you respect each other, that you always make communication with each other, and that you're like friends. You're not like friends, you are friends, right? But when you get married through the court system, now you're married through the court system. So you have to sign a marriage contract, right? And you both sign it. So that means if you can't break up, right? It's not a breakup anymore. It's divorce. So that means if you have kids, then it's a custody battle. You have to pay for a lawyer, lawyers, and then it gets ugly, right? Or it can get ugly, especially if one of them is doing something wrong. Uh, in my opinion, for that to happen. So when you go through the divorce system, it takes months, maybe years, even for that to finalize, because somebody doesn't want to give up, right? So so once you get divorced, it's not a like again, it's not a breakup. Once you get divorced, then where do if you have kids, right? Well, obviously, most people that are married have kids eventually. Um, where do the kids go? They eventually go to the mother, right? Most of the time, unless the mother is like a drug addict or alcoholic or whatever, or she just is needs help psychologically. Uh, and I was always afraid of that because I was like, well, I thought about it and I was like, I don't want to, I don't want to get married through the court system. I'll get married. I'm not even religious anymore, but I'll get married through a church if she's religious. But she has to understand first that I'm not religious. But if I respect her and love her, uh, I'll do it that way. Otherwise, I'll get married through within our families, and it'll be a simple wedding. That's it. So, guys that like I met a guy at work. I mean, I've met a lot of guys that have been married and they are going through a divorce and they have kids and it's like and the last guy I met that I worked with is 36 years old and he has three kids, right? Or they have three kids. and that's actually a young age to be divorced. To be honest with the way I think about it, and divorce is hard, man. I've never been through one, but I never want to. So he's going through like this process. He was like, I remember he was going like he's still in the court system with all the money and everything. All the well, he has one of the kids living with him. So that's the thing. Like one of the kids is living with him, and the other two are living with his the mother. So what do you think is going to happen between those kids? Like now they have to go through the thing about visit. I don't know what you call it. Excuse me. Visitation rights, right? Or say they have to pick a date of when they're gonna exchange kids or see their kids. When does the father see his kids or the kids that live with the mother? I don't know. I didn't ask all those specific questions, but yeah, that's why I will never ever. I mean, I'm 51, so there's no way I'm ever, and I never have will ever get married, at least through the court system. So, I mean, love is great. If you love someone, that's great. I just, excuse me, I just will never consider a third party, which is the government, the courts, uh, because then it gets if something happens, you guys can argue. It's not just an argument. Something happened that's big, right? When that happens, then things go crazy, right? And then that's where divorce happened. So, I think I've talked about it before, but I thought I'd say that again. So, yeah, my last description was people, and then I'm talking about my own experience. Uh, about my last one of the last streams that I actually heard myself. The audio was okay. So, yeah. So, I guess I'll end it this way. Um, be kind to people as much as you can. Don't be violent. Be kind to yourself, and that's it. It's that simple. And use your common sense. You know. So anyway, take care. Thank you for the like. Whoever liked it. Um, whoever hasn't subbed my channel, or if it's only my subs, my subscribers. Thank you. Whoever came in, I saw three people come in. Um, I know a lot of people don't like that subject, but just try to continue to be a good person to yourself and to other people. All right. Take care, all.